Hey, welcome to Stoner Stage. I'm in the Stoner. This is my stage. Today I'm sitting down with one of Minnesota's most respected and enduring musical voices. A powerhouse performer, songwriter, and band leader that has spent decades leaving his mark on the Twin Cities music scene and beyond. Known for his soulful vocals, heartfelt lyrics, and legendary performances. He's not only built a lasting career, but has also dedicated himself to supporting other musicians and giving back to the community through musical promotions and charitable work, including his 30-Day Foundation. From fronting Mick Sterling and the Stud Brothers to countless tribute shows celebrating our greatest musical icons, he continues to inspire and entertain. We're thrilled to have him here to share his stories and his journey in the Minnesota music scene, and what keeps him passionate and inspired to this day. Without further ado, please welcome Mr. Mick Sterling to Stoner Stage. Welcome to Stoner Stage. Tonight I'm sitting here with Mr. Mick Sterling.
Hello.
Thank you so much.
Thanks
so
for
much
having
for
me.
coming.
Appreciate it.
What I like to do is I'd like to know how music started for somebody. What was the catalyst? How old were they? How far back can they remember?
Sure.
What was it? So for you, what was it that started music?
Well, I have a very interesting, I think it's an interesting hybrid of influences for me when I was a little kid. My mom and dad were in the restaurant business. My dad was a bartender. My mom was a server at this place in Golden Valley called The Point. And I've told the story many times on stage where, this was in the mid 60s,
Gotcha.
Mid to late 60s. That bar was full of debauchery. I'm confident. But it had incredibly nice people that lived there, and so when that worked there, and in my house were Tony Bennett records and Ray Charles records and Nina Simone records and all that stuff. And then me as a little kid, I loved the Monkees. Like that's Mickey Dolenz was my guy.
Yeah.
So I had a very interesting hybrid of. My first record that I remember listening to was Ray Charles' Modern Sounds of Country and Western album, which is literally one of the greatest records of all time.
Yeah.
And the Monkees. So I kind of went back and forth on that. Those are my early influences. Those are the records I remember. And then, just a lot of 45s.
How old were you, do you think, when you really started getting into
Six.
that? So very young.
Yeah, and I could sing. Like I knew that. I mean, I could sing along, and I was right with them. Like I knew I could. I liked to sing.
You were hitting the pitches.
I was
you
hitting
felt
the pitches.
you were there.
Yeah, it felt very comfortable for me.
So was music just always played in the house?
No, it was just only played by me in the house.
So did you hear that more hanging out with mom and dad at the Point? You'd heard music there.
Well, they had great music at the Point. They had these Jimmy Bowman, these legendary kind of saloon people, Carol Martin, and I got to meet all of them because I would just go there as a little kid. I mean, my first actual performance was on top of a jukebox at the Point. I'm like 5.
Yeah.
And I'm singing, Roger Miller's King of the Road,
look at that.
and getting cherry cokes for payment,
For me, similar story. For me, I was 8 years old. It was at the Pub East on the east side of St. Paul around Christmas time, singing Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer with an accordion player as my accompaniment.
Yeah.
And I was getting the Shirley Temples. So, similar.
I know all kind of baseball trivia, too, because I was a baseball freak. So, I'd win all kinds of things from people at the bar.
Awesome. So 6 years old, the Monkees, oh my God, Ray.
Yeah, I mean, and really from that, and then I started, my sister had, it's 1970, my sister was playing, she had her bedroom in the basement of our house, and she played the first Elton John album.
Okay.
Just the Elton John album.
Yeah.
And I just went, what is that?
Right.
It wasn't what I was hearing on KDWB or at that time WDGY. It wasn't top 40.
Right.
It was this sound that I went, what is this?
Right.
It was so different.
Yeah.
Those songs, they weren't radio songs, but it was so unique.
They were like show tunes, but just artistry.
It was nothing. There was nothing else like it. The sonic quality and just what he was singing, how he sang, and how he played piano was so different. And then I was Elton John was it.
So was it always singing? Did you ever play an instrument in school?
I played drums.
You did?
And I did pretty well. I did school band stuff, and I'm just about ready to go into set, to learn how to play a kit. Mm-hmm. And then I started doing theater, and I just kind of let it go.
So
but I love drums.
In grade school.
Yeah.
Do you remember who your grade school music teacher was? Do you remember the name?
No, I remember my junior high band teacher, I believe it was Mr. Hill.
Is that when it really clicked for you? Is junior high when you started really thinking about performing and doing all that?
Because junior high is the first time I met my dear friend Peter Gerton, who plays piano. So I was in 8th grade. He was in 9th grade at Plymouth Junior High.
Okay.
And I met him in the locker room. The worst time to be in the locker room at all when you're in a junior high boy. And I'm on I've told this story too. I walk in and I'm wearing this red Elton John's Greatest Hits t-shirt that I got from Kmart.
Okay.
Yep. And I bought it.
Right.
It was, that was a big thing for me. I
Yep.
was very happy
the
about
allowance
this thing.
and
Get the whole thing. And all of a sudden I hear this scream from across the locker room. He's going, I'll give you $12 for that shirt, And there's this kid with long hair and glasses, and I go, well, I can't do that, And then I saw him on stage doing an Elton John band for the talent show, and it was piano, bass, guitar, and drums. And he's like in 9th grade. I've never seen anybody. He could play just like Elton.
Oh wow!
He could sing just. And it was like. He's crazy talented. So we became friends, and it's a very Reese's peanut butter thing. Like, he could sing, but he was uncomfortable singing. I couldn't play an instrument, but I could sing. So we went down to his basement, and we just did Elton John songs all night.
Nice. And how old were you there?
I was in 8th grade. He was in 9th grade.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. And that, would you consider that your first band then?
I would say, I think it was between 9th and 10th was the first band, and we did verbatim the Elton John 11-17-70 album, piano, bass, and drums, and me, and we did all the ad libs. That was our shtick. We did that album.
Nice. So you were a tribute before tributes.
Yeah, we loved it because I don't know if you've ever heard of that album, but it's one of the greatest live albums.
I've heard. So I couldn't
ridiculous.
tell you if I've heard the whole album, but
it's ridiculous.
I mean, Elton John. I've heard
so
tons
good.
of it. So. Yeah. So that's when you started a real band. It was like junior high.
Yeah, and then I did. When I got into high school, I did a couple talent show things. If I didn't really have a band per se, I was doing more theater.
Okay.
Then, and then when I got out of high school, I realized I was not an actor. I was just, I got lucky, but I'm not an actor.
Okay. All right. Did you have any like commercials or shows or plays that you did on? Off-Broadway stuff?
No, I tried once.
Hennepin Trust?
I did, and Peter was at this thing too. I remember I auditioned for, I think it was West Side Story, it was the Minnetonka, whatever the Minnetonka community thing was. And they asked me there was a choreographer there, and they had these people go, okay, do the 5, 6, 7, 8. I can't dance. I mean, I can dance like I dance, but I can't.
You shake a little.
Yeah, I can't do that.
Yeah.
And Peter is looking through the door, going.
He had such hope for you.
He went, oh God. So that was my last theater audition.
So what was your first concert that you went to? How old were you? What was your first concert?
Well, I wish I could say. I'm going to say my second one was more important, but my first one was Barry Manilow at Orchestra Hall.
And how old were you?
14.
Do you remember a lot of that one?
It was actually fantastic.
Yeah.
But the first real like event, like at the old St. Paul Civic Center, was Elton.
Really?
And it was,
and that was your second concert?
That was my second concert. Wow. It was right when Captain Fantastic came out. It was about 75.
Wow.
And it was, it was amazing. I was overwhelmed.
Had you decided before that concert, this is what you wanted to do?
Well, I know I wanted to do it. I know that I could do it if I had the band to do it, but I didn't know how to put together the band at that time. I was still kind of
How old were you in
floundering.
75?
I was 14.
Okay. So still really young.
I'm still really young.
But you knew it's like, I want to do this.
I loved sports. Like I was really good at baseball. I was really good at tennis. I'm thinking maybe I could do one of those because I was really into that.
Mm-hmm.
But I loved music. So I knew that was going to be part of whatever my life was going to be. But, I'm 14. What the hell do I know? Still percolating.
Right. So you've got music starts at 6, the Monkees, Ray Charles, then Elton John, and then you find your musical compatriot.
Yeah.
In junior high.
To which we still play together today.
That's amazing.
Almost 50 years.
That's amazing.
Yep, it is amazing.
And then, so 14, you see Elton John. You get your band going probably around then? Is that when the band started really happening?
It was
the
a
three-piece?
band. It was. I wouldn't call it an official band.
So it wasn't the Elton John tribute at that time?
No. It was just, we just would play sometimes. But, I've told this story too, where I remember like our first paid show that me and Peter did was for my dad's party. He called me. We lived in Crystal. He lived in Medicine Lake. My dad calls and says, come over, there's a piano here. So we ride our bikes from Crystal to St. Louis Park, and there's this beat up old piano.
Yeah.
With the keys all screwed up and the tinsel on the back. And, we did a bunch of Elton songs, and we took a break, had a burger. We come back, and there's this snifter jar, this big snifter jar with a few dollars in it. And I go, Dad, what is that? He goes, don't worry about it, just keep going.
Just keep going.
So we did another set, and Peter's fingers are full of blood. I have no voice anymore because we just screamed and played so hard. We drove home, and we rode our bikes home to my driveway, and we emptied out our pockets, and we had $34. So we each made $17. And
buys an awful lot of soda
this
and
is
candy.
the greatest thing of all. That's 3 albums at Down in the Valley.
Oh, yeah,
Easily,
there you go,
maybe
too.
4.
There you go. Yeah.
And we thought, they paid us for this? What the hell?
Yeah. No, I totally understand that.
Yeah.
So when did you get into a scenario where you got a band, you're watching other bands play live in the area? I mean, you say you were watching that at like 6 or 7 at the point, but who were some of your heroes when you started to really kind of make your move to play locally?
Well, a couple of guys I went to high school with, Tim and Mark Moran, when I got out of high school, when we all got out of high school because we're all the same age, they started a band called the T. Skeeter Band, and it was a horn band.
Okay.
So we did a lot of Tower Power, Blood, Sweat, and Tears, James Brown, Otis Redding, that kind of stuff.
Nice.
But one of the big artists that was another gigantic influence is Southside Johnny.
Okay.
Southside Johnny and the Asbury Jukes.
Yep.
So Southside Johnny and the Asbury Jukes and Springsteen at that particular time were really, really huge for me.
Okay.
And we put a lot of those songs in that band.
Okay.
So that I would say when I was about 20, that was the real first time I was actually in a band that was working in clubs.
Okay.
Not very well.
But just playing.
We were playing.
Yeah.
And, we would rehearse in their basement, and we had a sound system and lights, and we carted that crap around like every band did back in those days. And it was fun.
Did you do now back in those days, I'm a little younger, I came out when those times were over, but it seemed like you were playing 6 nights a week.
Well, we weren't.
Oh, you weren't?
Bands
Okay.
were.
Okay.
Because that was really the era of there were these things called, Burnsville Bowl, a Maplewood Bowl, and
Yep.
the bowls thing. Like bands would play 6 nights a week and then go to the next bowl.
Yeah.
But that was a whole different time. I mean, there was no internet. People went out.
Yep,
That's
absolutely.
what they did.
Absolutely.
And so, but we were just we were a band that was doing Southside Johnny songs, and nobody knew who the hell Southside Johnny was. And we were a horn band. We weren't a top 40 band, so we got some work.
Okay.
But it was a tough sell because we were trying to do something different.
A little
and
bit
some
outside
people
the
really
norm.
dug it, and some people went, "What are you?"
Right.
You know, I don't know any of these songs. It was kind of like that.
Right. So when did things start to hit for you, and when did it become? Well, I mean, let's be honest. Mick Sterling and the Stud Brothers is a legendary name for me.
Well, that took a long time. I mean, that took. My first gig was at a place called Wolf's Den in Osceola, Wisconsin.
Okay.
I think it was 1981.
Wow.
And between that time and, T-Skitter turned into a band called Heat Treatment, and we were just kind of flailing.
Okay.
I moved to St. Louis. I got an offer from a band they were a hotel band.
Yep.
Which people don't know what that is. They would do 48 weeks a year.
Yeah.
7 nights a week, go to a different hotel, play there. They didn't want to do that anymore. They wanted to be an original act,
Okay.
try and morph into that. So they hired me, and I moved to St. Louis with all of my earthly possessions in a Triumph TR7.
How old were you then?
I was 22.
So still young.
I was young, and I knew nobody in St. Louis. I'd never been in a full-time band before, and then it took about a year and a half, and I was really broke, and I had no friends really to speak of.
Just the band.
Just the band. But then the band started working, and we were doing 27, 28 nights, one-nighters a month.
How'd that go for the voice?
Well, it actually toughened it up.
Okay.
And I could sing 4 hours every song.
See, I never did that. I was a lead singer for many years in like a metal band growing up as a kid, but we do one show every 6 weeks.
Yeah, but that's even harder.
Well,
because this, when people ask me how do you keep your voice, this is like this. It's a muscle.
Yeah.
And if you worked out every day, you can work out for a very long time.
Yeah.
If you work out once every 3 months,
makes sense.
That's the only thing that makes sense to me.
Right.
This is just a muscle like any other
Frank
muscle.
Kohler told me that too. He said his voice became like cast iron because he was just constantly using it.
And then when you would take 2 days off after doing 20 nights in a row, you come back and go, it's a weird. This is a very mysterious thing.
Okay.
Nobody knows how this works.
Right. Now, did you ever have polyps or any of that kind of stuff?
No, I never did. But I never did. I never drank. I never did drugs. I didn't do any of that stuff. It had no
real abuse.
Yeah. It didn't really knock me out. My dad had a lot of alcoholic issues, and that doesn't look like a good path to go at all.
I think you're one of two things. My mother, same thing. She had her battles. My uncle, same thing. So when I'm growing up and I'm seeing that, you're either going to go into it or you're going to just totally take the other turn.
I've said my dad taught me in reverse.
There you go.
Unintentionally, but I learned from that. I went, nope.
Yep, not what I want to be.
That looks like that's awful.
I just thought it was hard. I was like, your life is really hard that way, and I don't want to do that.
It's a lot of things to juggle.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's a lot of things to juggle.
Absolutely. So you're 22, you're in St. Louis, you got a band, you're going. What happens there?
So, we're doing pretty well, and then I married a girl I went to high school with.
Okay.
And at that time, she was living there, and we got married, and the whole band came from St. Louis to my wedding, and we drove back to St. Louis, and the first gig I did, I came home and I said, we got to move back. Like, there was no reason to be in St. Louis anymore. It's one of those, when you know something, it's just time to do it. And that was one of those moments that happen rarely in life when it's just so obvious, we need to go home.
Yeah.
And so we did, and I was in this other band called the Night Burners, which was when I came back, which was an original project. And my old friends from high school called me, and said, "We have this idea. We want you to front it." I go, "Well, I'm in a band now, but if you can get it together, at least I'd be interested to come to the rehearsal." So I come to the rehearsal at the old space we used to practice in Crystal, and the drummer had this poster, and it said, "We're going to play the blues, and that's going to make some people very happy." And then on the bottom was this logo that said Mick Sterling and the Stud Brothers, and I went, "So I'm Mick Sterling? That's me, right?" And he goes, "Yeah." And I go, "All right."
So until then, that wasn't even your moniker.
No, Sterling is my middle name. My name is Michael.
Okay.
But Sterling is my middle name, so he gave me Mick Sterling.
Marketing genius.
He was great.
Yeah.
And I used to correct people when the band first started. "Well, my name's really Michael." I went, after about 2 months, I went, "No, you know me as Mick. That's fine."
Same thing right there.
Yeah, yeah.
My name's John, but everyone knows me as Stunner.
There you go. There you go. Why correct people? It takes too long. Yeah,
exactly.
so that band started, and we were kind of in the same path that we were with the old band.
Okay.
You know, we had this great band, this 10-piece band, that nobody was really doing at that particular time. This is 1988. And when I lived in St. Louis, there was this little club that would have a blues band every Sunday afternoon from 4 to 7. Wasn't that great of a blues band in my estimation. It was fine.
Yeah.
The club held about 250 people. It was packed every Sunday. I don't care what the weather was. It was packed. So when we're kind of flailing, I said, "Why don't we go make a proposal to Bunkers in Minneapolis?"
Yep.
The club that we really respected. And the combo at that time was really burning it up on Mondays.
Dr. Mama's
Dr.
combo?
Mama's combo. So we came up with a proposal for James Klein and said, "We'll play here for free for 6 weeks. If you don't put an ad in the city pages," there was a thing called the city pages
Yep.
back then. "If you don't like it, what do you have to lose?" You know? So he agreed, because we were flailing. Nobody would hire us on a weekend because we're a new band. We're playing songs they don't really know. Nobody really wanted to give us a shot. Yeah. But we knew we had something. It was really good.
And at that time, it was mostly like, you had the hair metal stuff going, you had the pop, like the Madonna going, but the blues stuff.
Well, you know, you had this, you know, the really end, like Lamont Cranston band was still really big.
Okay.
You know, the Butanes.
Yeah.
There was a thing, but there wasn't anything that we were doing.
Gotcha.
You know, we thought. So we started, and after about 6 weeks, there were about 80 people there on a Sunday, and we said, you know, we think we have something here. And then in about a month, we became this little secret that all the bartenders and the servers and the hotel workers and the hairstylists, we became their, that was their Saturday night.
Yeah.
So everybody was talking, and then for about the next 14 years, every Sunday, there were lines out the door to Bunkers. And that really was the catalyst of everything. So about 89, that's when that band exploded.
So was it the same gentleman that came up with Mick Sterling that came up with the idea of Bunkers, or was that?
No, at that time, the majority of it, yes. Yeah, my buddies from high school.
Yeah.
And it was great, but they didn't want to play that much.
Okay.
They just wanted to play Sunday.
Okay.
And I wanted to play more.
Right.
And the success of the band, like everybody was calling us. And, you know, I'm going to turn them down,
right.
You know, at that time. So some of the guys just kind of went, I have a day job. I can't play till 2 a.m.
Yep.
You know, and that was fine. And so we got different people, and that was the, you know, the beginning of that saga in my life. That is, you know, to this day, everything that I've done has come from the success of that band.
That's awesome.
Not even in question.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So what was some of the next things I know? Like before we started, I mentioned, and I wanted to get the story. Like, you know, I mean, 81, you're starting your career. 81, I'm 10. I'm listening to the Beatles. I'm listening to the Moody Blues with my mom. I'm getting into all that kind of stuff and really starting my musical journey. But I remember the Mick Sterling and the Stud Brothers Pizza Hut commercial.
Yeah.
Now, you got 14 years at Bunkers. Somewhere in that 14 years, did you get the Pizza Hut, or was it after that even?
No, this was right. Let's see. Who was in the band at that time? It was about 90. It was for the Super Bowl of 90 when it was here.
Oh, wow. Okay. So I was an adult then.
93, 94 maybe.
I think so, yeah, and I was an adult then.
So the story of that was that there was a huge casting call. Every band in town knew about that thing. A lot of bands did. And so we, and every genre of band auditioned.
Okay.
But how we auditioned was so different because I heard about it on a Monday. The audition was Wednesday of that week, and we were playing. We had every Tuesday night show that we did.
Okay.
So I called the band. I said, here's the template of this song. Let's get together and come up with our version of it, and then do it Tuesday in front of this audience.
So they had the lyrics for you. They had kind of the basic.
They had the basic melody and lyrics, but that's it.
Not the music.
Nope.
Oh, okay.
Nope. Just
the jingle
just
part.
the jingle, because at that time it was like some a cappella group did it, and it was very popular but they wanted a Minneapolis version of it.
I still remember it was like 4888888 or something like that.
It's a hell of a thing,
Okay, so keep going.
So we rehearse it, and then we videotape ourselves doing it in front of this audience, this room full of people, and they lost their minds. We videotape it. I bring in the next day, I walk in with a videotape. Everybody else was just doing it on acoustic guitar.
Right.
We had a finished videotape.
In front of a crowd.
And they basically used our version.
So the commercial, was it new footage of you in that commercial? Because I remember being in the commercial.
The commercial was shot in is that Theatre de la Jeune Lune. That's where they did it.
Okay.
And they hired actors and the club scene, they did
that. Yeah. Okay.
But basically the song that we did that day was what we did for the commercial.
Awesome.
So we were us and ipso facto were of all the bands, were the only ones that got radio and TV exposure.
Was it national or was it regional?
No, it was regional. It was regional.
Okay.
It was but it lasted because it was so catchy.
Oh my gosh, yes.
It's crazy.
Like I said, I still remember it.
I know. There's a great CD of all the different versions that they used.
Okay.
I wish I had it because it's surreal. All these different, like heavy punk bands.
Yeah.
It's all different versions of that
I almost
song.
wish I would have seen the advertisement to do that, because at the time I was in a thrash metal band. Yeah. And at the time, thrash metal was kind of big. We might have been in there jockeying for position.
I know the bands, and it was all genres. It was a huge casting call.
That's so cool.
So it was fun. It was really fun, and people still remember it, and it was a blast.
So what was some of the other big things for you? Maybe not even just the Mick Sterling and the Stud Brothers, but you've had a very storied career so far.
Thank you. Yeah.
What are some of the biggest shows you feel you've played? Give me a story of maybe the biggest one that you remember.
Well, I think one of the things, the success of the Stud Brothers has allowed me to do many philanthropic things, creating concert events. Mm-hmm. And the first really big one I did was a thing called Heart and Soul. Okay. And I thought this was in 1995, right in the middle of the AIDS crisis. And there was this place called Camp Heartland that was a camp for kids that were living with HIV and AIDS. Now, at that time, if you had HIV and you were a kid or AIDS, you didn't last long.
Yeah.
At that time, people were dying very quickly. So this camp was a camp for kids that are going through that to be with other kids so they could actually go to camp.
Yeah.
And it was a really moving story. And the director of development for Camp Heartland came to Bunkers one night and told me about it. And I was just so moved by it. And so I created this concert series called Heart and Soul.
Yeah.
And at that time, that's right when Johnny Lang was coming up, and he was, 15.
Kid Johnny Lang at
He
the
was
time.
Kid Johnny Lang at that time. And the people that booked them, worked about Bunkers, and Cities 97 at that time was just Cities 97. It wasn't an iHeart station.
Right.
It was still very local. And so all those elements came together, and we created this, and Heart and Soul happened. And we eventually blocked off like 10 city blocks around Bunkers, where at that time it was a warehouse district.
Yep.
It wasn't full of restaurants and living
Right.
areas. So we would have 5 to 10,000 people come and see Johnny Lang, Susan Tedeschi, the Neville Brothers, Tommy Castro, Double Trouble. I mean,
Wow.
it was a lot of, and all the bands donated their time. We flew them in, and I had 400 volunteers. It was really quite remarkable.
Yeah.
But none of that would have happened without the success of us at Bunkers.
Yeah, it sounds like that connection between Mick Sterling and the Stud Brothers and Bunkers, just having that station, that home base almost.
Yeah.
Everything kind of grew from that home base.
Everything, yes. And like I didn't need an agent. Everybody knew how to find me.
Yeah, right.
And I, I can book bands.
Yeah.
That's one of my skills. I have many skills I can't do, but I can do that.
Yeah.
So I was able to kind of make all those things happen. And Heart and Soul lasted 8 years. And we raised about $500,000, and it was quite amazing.
That's
And
awesome.
It was a huge thing, and it provided the trajectory for the combination of performance and philanthropy. How do you piece those together?
Well, not only did you piece them together, but you actually you separated them too, because you've got a promotions agency, and you've got a foundation, right? You've got a little bit
Yes,
of both.
yeah. Now I
So
run
it
the
started
30 Days
kind of
Foundation.
together,
Yeah.
but you branched out.
Yeah, I found out that in the early, even before I did Heart and Soul, I did this. My first one was actually at the old Guthrie with Sue McLean and Associates, a legendary promoter who passed away a few years ago, unfortunately. I did a thing for the St. Joseph Home for Children, and this is in the early days of the Stud Brothers. And I was trying to find sponsors, and I would call, and they go, "Oh yeah, I've seen you. This is great."
Mm-hmm.
And I found out that sometimes it's easier to ask for things if they see you in that context. It's not such a cold call,
Yeah.
because when they saw you, they were pretty happy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Whether organically or through beer or wine.
Right.
But either way, they had a good experience seeing me. So they would take my call quite more often than maybe they would take someone else's call.
Mm-hmm.
So I found that's an interesting combination. I can maybe get things done that other people can't get done because of this.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I still... So, with the promotions thing now, I think you're involved with Chanhassen Dinner Theaters, is that right?
I produce about 30 different, they're called tribute shows. I call them honoring shows myself.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, so multiple performing arts centers. I book a place called, two places on stage at the Freight House, Freight House in Stillwater.
Okay.
And then the Chart House in Lakeville. It's called Chart House Live.
Okay.
So we've been doing those series for about 4 years now.
So was I off on the Chanhassen thing?
No, Chanhassen, or I do Chanhassen a lot. I don't book Chanhassen though. But
Gotcha.
my bands play there quite a bit.
So how does that feel?
Chanhassen.
How does that feel going to Chanhassen Dinner Theater, where you were once all into theater and being an actor and everything? Now you're on those stages, but you're performing music.
I have no desire to be an actor. It's a horrible business. I don't know how they even do it.
I was going to say, they probably do a version of, West Side Story there every now and again.
Yeah, no, I would never venture to be an actor. That is a very difficult and very fickle thing. But being at the Chanhassen is great. It's a very storied theater, and that place, the Fireside Theater, we've done many of shows, and I play there 6 or 7 times a year.
Okay.
That's great.
So is it still all then just Mick Sterling and the Stud Brothers? Are you doing any other thing musically, or is it all that?
Mick Sterling and the Step Brothers, officially, we did like 1988 to 2006.
Okay.
And then we took a break for about 5 years. Everybody was kind of burnt out at that time. It was like we needed a break.
Yeah.
But then we came back and did one show, and we just went, oh my God. Like all the burnt out band stuff that happens to every band,
Yeah.
you know, it all went away.
Yeah.
Because we realized there's only 11 guys that can do that. And that once we came to that realization, we've been playing about 3 or 4 times a year.
Okay.
Since then, and it's been terrific. It's
That's
been terrific.
awesome. For me, it was like I liken it to when you start a band or when you're putting a band together. There's all this passion to do that, and then once the band's together, you've got the next goal. Let's start playing. You've got that passion to do that.
Yeah.
And after you kind of build that for a while, if you're not constantly building it and you're just going around in the same circle,
Yeah.
all those tiny little things that never ever mattered start to build
Yes.
on you.
Yeah.
So I definitely understand what you're saying. Where
it's not
you need a
unique
break.
to my band. Every band has, after a while, things just bug you.
Yep.
Little things that someone does. And it's so silly.
Yeah.
But it doesn't seem silly at the time.
No.
So you have to kind of walk away from it for a little while, and that's what we did. And I think it was good.
Yeah.
We had done everything we could possibly do. In that context, we released many CDs, many original CDs. We did a lot of stuff. We played 200 times a year.
Did you
10-piece bands,
tour
crazy.
outside the nation at all, or was it all?
No,
kind
it's too many people.
Yeah.
You
So what's the biggest you did? Was it really all just 5-state region?
Yeah, and that would be generous. I would say maybe Wisconsin. We did a couple things in Chicago, but it just didn't make any sense for us. It didn't make any financial sense for us to go. There was too many people.
I figured Chicago. When you said Chicago, a little bell went off, like home of the blues.
Yeah.
Did you find the shows there good or bad? Or?
My thing is, I don't care what city you're in. You're still changing in the bathroom.
Yeah.
Like I'm not. My thing is like everybody go, well, are you a national band? There's no town called national.
Yeah.
Every band is a local band.
Yeah.
That just happens to be in your town, but at its core, it's a local band.
Yep.
And I'm confident that Mick Sterling and the Stud Brothers is as badass as any band you're going to hear in the country.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean I need to go to Tallahassee and change in your bathroom to prove that we're good.
Fair enough. Fair enough. No, I couldn't have said that more. I've played in original bands. I've played in cover bands my whole career, and it's one night you're on top of the world. The next night you're like, oh my God, why am I doing this?
Well, I mean that's the thing. I've said this before. The biggest thing about lasting in this business is consistency. Nobody comes up to you at the end of the night and go, man, were you consistent tonight? That was amazing how consistent you were. But that's all that really matters.
Yeah.
In the end, you have to be at this level consistently, and that is really difficult to do.
Yeah.
Most people can't do it.
Yeah. I've felt like, I see a lot of bands, and there's a lot of cover bands out there. There's a lot of original bands too, and some of them, they go up there and they play, but you can almost tell they're not feeling it. They're not really there.
Yeah.
They're just kind of going through it. I've always gone up there like I was playing in front of 500,000 people, and I just want to be a rock star that night.
Yeah.
And I play my heart out every night, no matter what. And I'm probably the biggest ham you're going to see on stage, but I care about everybody's enjoyment.
Yeah.
And when I do that with 4 or 5 other guys that feel that same way, there's a different connection. It's like I feel like I'm in a rock band today. I'm not just in a cover band today, you know. And so I Mick Sterling Stud Brothers, same thing. When you guys are up there and going, it's got to be just this elevated.
No, we take no prisoners.
Yeah.
It's always been like that. When the band starts, you are going to pay attention to us.
Yeah.
That's how we felt. Like, because there's just nothing like that band. We're not like Lamont Cranston. We're not like the Butanes. We're not like Soul Tide Committee. We are this.
Yeah.
Nobody does this. That's how we, not in a cocky way.
No.
We just, there's so much power
Yeah.
coming from that stage.
It's truly captivating when I watch. And I have not been able to go and see you live in probably, I don't know how long.
Yeah.
I think I was in my 20s. when
Yeah,
I saw
it still sounds amazing.
Yeah.
And
I look at the videos. But
we made that commitment once when we stopped playing, and then we did the first show. Me and Bobby, Bobby Vandell, great drummer in town. We had lunch, and Bobby said something so wise. He said, Mick, as long as we are physically able to make that sound, we should always make that sound. And I thought that's a really good way. That's a good beacon.
yeah.
It makes sense.
Yeah.
When we don't have the physicality to make that sound, we'll stop.
Yeah.
But nobody makes that sound except us.
And to be honest, that's a musician speaking. There's people that learn how to play an instrument and will play that instrument until they get what they want from that instrument. Mm-hmm. Whether it be popularity, a good job, a girlfriend, a wife, whatever that is,
Yeah.
then they've got that. Now they don't need the music. And then there's people where music spoke to us at such an age and it never stops speaking.
No, it's such a. It's very difficult. It's like being a server. So in that sense of like, you love the tips. So it's difficult for people to leave being a server because you get tips.
Yeah.
And when you're a musician, you get applause.
Yeah.
And you get that feeling. It's very,
It's
very
that
difficult
immediate-
to leave that thing.
You get those tips and you're like, I did a hell of a good job. They
That's
gave me a
right.
tip. Same, yeah, I feel you there.
Other professions deserve tips and applause,
Yeah. No,
for sure, but they don't get it. That's the only unique thing about being a musician. Everything else is all the same principles. You got to show up on time. You got to be good. Got to know how to hang out with people.
not only
all
that,
stuff.
but it is like an 8 to 10 hour shift. It's a real job.
Oh, it's a real job.
A lot of people sit there and they'll show up at 9 o'clock and they'll watch it for 3 hours and they're like, where are we going after this? And at my age, I'm going
I'm
home.
going to bed.
I've been here since 6.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
now 2 in the morning. I'm
Yeah.
going home.
But that's fine.
Yeah.
They shouldn't know that.
No.
It's too much of them. It's too much to expect of people to go, geez, I wonder if these guys did 8 hours before the show. They just saw what they saw.
Yeah.
And if you do it right, it looks effortless.
Yeah.
That's
Absolutely.
the trick.
Absolutely. So what's next for you then?
Well, I just, I run the 30 Days Foundation,
Yep.
the charity that I've been doing now for 14 years. And I'm producing shows and working on a new venture that hopefully, I can't really say it yet, but hopefully that happens, that will be newsworthy.
A new musical venture?
A new musical venture.
Okay.
But I just, I just turned 64. We were supposed to do this interview last week, and
Yeah.
and it was on my birthday, and so like, I'm kind of in the. I need new things to happen. I'm kind of in my, what can I leave my legacy with kind of a thing.
Okay.
These next 10 years.
Yeah.
So I want to do a lot of things.
Yeah.
My son passed away 6 years ago. He was an amazing musician.
Sorry to hear
And
that.
thank you. And he went through so much stuff through cancer and his chemo. And he recorded all these incredible songs during chemo,
Yeah.
and he was remarkable. And he really inspired me just to go, I'm going to try things. If I fail, who cares?
Right.
But if I can do it, I'm going to try everything that I can try. It's great.
You only have one life.
Yeah.
Get out there and do what you need to do. What
Well,
makes you happy, right?
It's like that Warren Zevon quote, enjoy every sandwich. One of the great quotes of all time.
I think I have. Oh my gosh. And with that, let's say goodnight.
Yeah, man.
Dude,
Thanks,
Mick
John.
Sterling, thank you so much.
Very much. Thank you very much.
Thanks for watching.